All right. Good evening and welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys all have something nice to drink. I know it feels like Friday because of the long weekend, but it's only Monday/Tuesday. So we're joined this week. It's John and I, Jay from Take That Review, joined by Chris Fredrickson of Traverse City Whiskey Company, which you guys have probably heard a lot about lately. And he was nice enough to come on and share his Tuesday night with us. So welcome, Chris.
Yeah, looks like we muted him already there.
Oh, no. It's a terrible way to treat a guest. At least we figured it out. How about now? Oh, man.
Matter of fact, we cannot hear you.
I think that he's dead, Jim.
Well, here we go. Breaking things first off.
We got to stop drinking before these things.
I'm pretty sure if we do this just right, we could feather the liquor in there just enough.
How about now?
No, we're not getting anything out of you there. See, this is interesting because just like 90 seconds ago, that was all working, just ducky. I could tell that he can hear us because he's responding appropriately. But we're not getting you. I don't know if maybe... Well, his AirPods couldn't have died, right? Because he can hear us.
You can hear us, yeah. Why don't you just drop him and bring him back?
Yeah, we're gonna have to subtitle him, I guess. So what we'll do?
Oh, it'll be like a Japanese action movie.
Yeah, we'll subtitle Chris. We'll start taking comments in chat, pretend they're everything that Chris would have said.
How about now? Oh.
Okay. Chris, let's there we go. He's gonna reset his stuff. Yeah, I think he definitely was saying buy more Traverse City whiskey.
Excellent. Yes. Well, in the meantime, only ask him yes or no questions. That's pretty fucking funny. Sorry, Chris. We will work through the technical issue here. It was weird. It worked right beforehand. How about now? Oh, man.
Down at the bottom of your screen, there's a cam mic button. It's a little gear icon. You tap on that. Just go to the audio section. Just double check that the mic is set to your standard mic.
Meantime, I guess I'll drink cherry whiskey.
Yeah, you should probably open up some cherry whiskey. Tear into that for us. I might try a little bit of that as well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, give me just 1 second. Let me just try with the AirPods in.
Okay. Yeah, totally. In the meantime, I'll pour whiskey because I'm behind on that. But welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday. I am kicking off. I was sniffing the barrel proof here. It's been a while for me. I'll catch you up on the only piece of bourbon news that we have. Today is Tuesday, which means tomorrow's Wednesday. Join us on Thursday. We'll be picking a barrel of Smooth Ambler Old Scout from MGP with a very profound Redditor. That's it for news this week. So I think we got Chris back. I think, how are things working microphone-wise now? Oh, still no microphone.
No. AirPods just aren't agreeing with it.
We'll do this the old.
Can we get you now?
Oh man.
Hold on.
Back to the settler days.
Did you get that whiskey poured yet, Jay?
There we go.
I did actually. There we go. Cool.
All right.
Hot diggity. I probably can't see it.
You can see part of it. You have most of a glass in your hand. As I understand it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so let's see. We have a variety of spread here. We'll let Chris get talking here when he gets all settled. I'm starting off. If you guys were part of the Cherry Festival festivities last week, the week before, the weeks are all kind of blended together for me. But the barrel proof cherry was a limited release for that. Cool. How are we doing, Chris?
I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right.
I'm not a doctor, but I think we're good.
John, great. Fellas, thank you for having me this evening. Great to meet both of you.
Yeah, happy to have you.
So my first experience with Traverse City was a single barrel pick done through the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. They sent a crew up there and picked a 7-year. I think it might have been some of your sourced material.
Yep.
And man, I had never heard of Traverse City until that point and was instantly like, okay, well, whatever these guys are doing is pretty good, so we should probably get involved with them. And we got these samples to try out. Appreciate that, by the way.
course.
And we, I think, I don't know if Jay got his reviews out. I got most of my reviews out this week there. I'm launching a new review every morning of one of the products that we've got there in the whiskey cam. And been really enjoying going through them. And I thought that the Cherry Fest thing was a hell of a hit. The music was outstanding.
I will let Drew Hale, who is actually on our production team, know that tomorrow.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys sipping on right now?
So I just poured the barrel proof cherry. That was probably a poor choice to start with the strongest stuff. But honestly, I mean, I've been hitting it pretty hard. I've been trying to keep it for special occasions, but that hasn't worked out so hot at all.
Yeah, if you could see mine on the whiskey cam there, I've gone through probably 2/3 of the barrel proof cherry, about half of the barrel proof bourbon. There's some of them that have taken kind of a beating because I was like, oh, I got to test these for science and review them and make sure that I get something half decent. And I try it 3 times and then 4 times just to make sure it's still good. And here we are now.
What led you guys to? I guess we can just dive in right here. I was kind of worried. I saw 35% in flavored whiskey, and I was like, oh god, like oh no,
Yep.
like I'll try it. Like oh boy, this is fucking fantastic. It's not super sweet or anything. What led you guys to go with? I know Montmorency is the cherry of Traverse City, but like, what led you guys to kick off with the cherry whiskey?
Yeah, so the cherry whiskey was it was our first natural extension away from the regular bourbon, the triple X bourbon. So we launched the bottle proof. We call it the bottle proof bourbon because it's the same whiskey as the barrel proof, but just at a different proof. We launched that in 2012, and by about midway through 2013, being from the cherry capital of the world, and having some pretty extensive family history in the agriculture of cherry farming, the cherry whiskey was was kind of a no-brainer. I will say in 2013 when we launched it, the market was not ready for it.
Okay.
It was right after the flavored vodka craze, and everybody needed another flavored anything. Like they just didn't need it. So it was a tough spirit to launch in 2013. But fast forward a few years, the cherry whiskey, the bottle proof, not barrel proof cherry whiskey, is the best selling craft spirit in the state of Michigan.
Oh wow!
Damn.
Yeah. So it took a while for the market to kind of understand it, and it, through the Cherry Whiskey Festival that we hosted a few weeks ago, where we took the time to highlight the production process. I mean, it's still not totally understood, but we wanted to walk and talk through what cherry farming looked like, and then what infusing cherries into the whiskey, like what that process looked like. So yeah, the cherry whiskey has grown tremendously. It currently is kind of the lifeblood of our operation. And the idea behind it was, one, Traverse City is the cherry capital of the world. My father's a 3rd generation cherry farmer. And although it was a bit unusual for a whiskey company to launch an infused spirit like this back in 2013, it's really taken off and kind of become a gateway expression for people that are looking to get into whiskey, but not looking for the punch of a barrel proof.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, like we were saying in the green room, like this is the first time in years that I haven't been up to Traverse City myself. And like we always hit up Cherry Republic on the way out of town. I got to get cherry barbecue and cherry salsa and cherry this and cherry that. And like I was surprised when cherry whiskey showed up, and I was like, wait, why am I surprised? It's from Traverse City. Like everything there, like if it can have cherry in it, it definitely does at some point. So that's pretty cool. Can you walk us through like just briefly what the process is? Because I haven't been up to take a tour yet.
I think Chris Butter frozen there. I want to pull this question up here. Oki wanted to know what are some of the positive qualities you look for in a whiskey liqueur, since it is technically a different product from whiskey. Which I mean, for me, the first thing. Oh, I should probably leave that one over there. For me, the first thing is always looking at that ABV. Like, what's the proof point here? Is this something that's going to be, you know, a 30% very sweet, very tough thing to get into? Is it going to be syrupy, or is it going to taste like whiskey? And when I see that low ABV, it sometimes makes me a little bit reticent to grab it. And like I was saying earlier, I was a little nervous with Chris's 35% cherry whiskey, but I opened it and I smelled it. And I was like, okay, well, the sniff test is good because this thing is not sweet, syrupy smelling. It's not one of those like dessert only type of deals.
Yeah.
And it comes out actually pretty good. And I sent Jay a picture earlier this week. I saw someplace a 37% version of the same whiskey. Is that a lie or what? What's going on with that?
That is reality. So can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Great. So the 37%, we have 2 tasting rooms. One is up in Traverse City, the other is down in Ferndale. And one way that we wanted to create a slightly more special experience at the tasting rooms is by introducing what we call the Stillhouse Edition. And so what you guys are sampling this evening is our traditional small batch version. And then the Stillhouse Edition is just slightly higher proof. So when you visit us, you get a little bit more booze in the bottle.
Like that. A little perk for showing up.
I dig it, yeah.
So you show up with the poker chips, and everybody knows you get the 37%. They know this guy beats business, right?
Yeah.
I dig it. So let's go back one quick step here before I know Jay's got a good question about the cherry product, and I do want to hear that. But can we take a step back and just talk about like the beginning of Traverse City Whiskey Company and how that kind of came to be?
Of course. Yeah. So I have 2 business partners, Jared and Moti. The 3 of us met at Michigan State University, and I was an undergrad. They were in graduate school, and we were friends that connected on a more social, less professional level. And we, fast forward 4 years, we were all professionals. They were practicing attorneys. I was a management consultant on the road 5 days a week, every week, and getting burned out. And in 2011, my father and I stumbled across a set of my great-grandfather's distilling patents that were patents for distilling techniques that were created during the Prohibition. And I didn't know these existed. After I shared with my family, they're like, "Oh yeah, of course. You didn't know about the distilling patents that John Salhavia had created." And I was like, "No, I'm the only enthusiast in the family, and nobody bothered to tell me."
Oh man!
But after it's crazy. So we found the patents out at a cherry farm, and that was kind of that was just the springboard for the idea that birthed Traverse City Whiskey. So we, over several whiskeys, the 3 of us, night in fall of 2011, we're just enjoying the good stuff.
Of course.
And had an idea called Traverse City Whiskey. And we were all so ambitious to get away from our full. A friend of a friend who knew a guy, whose dentist cousin happened to be a salesperson for MGP, which happened to be a flavor profile that we resonated with. And we had an opportunity to purchase a set of 2008 21% rye bourbon barrels, and that was the selling that product in this package that looked a lot different back in the day. It was impossible to read back in 2012. But the success of this one product was what got the sales engine moving enough for us to leave our full-time jobs. And
that's pretty cool.
Full-time.
So it's quite an evolution then. So finding your grandfather's dusty old plans and being like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just turn these plans into whiskey and then drink them? And all of a sudden, here we are buying MGP and putting it together, man. That's awesome. Jay, what was the question you had there about the... Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, just fast forward a few years, we opened our still house, our distillery and tasting room in downtown Traverse City, where we have been distilling since late 2014. And we've been trying to keep up and break away from MGP. And it just hasn't happened as much as we had hoped. That's by now. And then across the country.
You still with us? It was getting just a little choppy at the end there.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just coming in a little bit broken. Yikes. Jay, is your foot on the cable?
I don't have a cat, I promise. I don't. That's a little bit better, yeah. I think we lost you right after breaking away from MGP, but I know, are you guys blending MGP in your base spirit now, or is that
we are. We
okay,
were
cool.
Yeah, we were independent for not nearly enough time. And then it just, things changed and we couldn't keep up. But yeah, we have our still house downtown Traverse City. We have our production facility, which is located right outside of downtown.
Okay.
And then a couple years ago, we acquired an old cherry processing facility, which is it's a 35,000 square foot building on 35 acres. And it's where we're building the future home of our distillery campus.
Very cool.
Which has turned out to be a pretty tremendous project. We have a 24-inch Vendome column, which will take our production capacity and up by a multiple of about 25.
Yeah, holy cow.
Yeah, that's big, man. So how many barrels are you churning out a day?
What's that?
How many barrels are you guys churning out a day now?
3.
No kidding. Wow, so you guys are going to be like going by an order of magnitude.
Yeah. Yep. Barrels take up a lot of room, an enormous amount of room. They just sit there and collect dust.
So on 35 acres, that's pretty significant. Are you guys planning to put up additional structures, I would imagine? Or you going into cherry farming as well?
Cherry farming, yes. We're going to plant some fruit on the property. We were required at the township level to plant 7 acres of either grain or fruit.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can make use of both, so I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, I was pretty surprised. I really enjoyed this. In fact, even last week we were on with another guest, and I was in the background enjoying quite a bit of the American cherry whiskey myself. What led you guys to put out the barrel proof for the festival?
Sorry, the barrel proof for what?
I said, what led you guys to release a barrel proof? Was that strictly for the festival, or did it kind of just come together? Is that something you guys were planning to do for a while?
Yeah, no, great question. It's something that we joked around about a lot for the past 5 years, really. And this year, because of COVID, our National Cherry Festival, which takes place in July, got canceled. And we needed a reason to celebrate and keep ourselves sane and happy and keep the people happy. So we did some R&D and found the right balance of fruit and whiskey and put in about 300 man hours and produced the Cherry Whiskey Fest.
Wow, that's
very
impressive.
cool.
Yeah, it was really strange because I mean that's why I come up every year. Like I'm in Traverse City for the cherry festival, and I like gorge on cherries, you know. So it was really cool to like have a virtual event to go to, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm where I typically am this time of year, you know, maybe without the kayak, but I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I've been trying not to have too much of it in cocktails, but it makes a fantastic old fashioned, which is something I don't typically make in the summer because it's hot, but the cherry influence is very nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Something I've been doing with the Traverse City, the cherries, the cocktail cherries themselves, is just pretending that I'm making an actual cocktail. I just put 3 of those in a glass of rye and call it good. Yeah, there you go. I've been throwing 3 of those into a glass of rye, swirling it around for about, I don't know, 1 second, and then pretending that I'm having a cocktail. And it really works. I dig those a lot. I did a massive cherry comparison and a cherry article, and I didn't have those at the time, but I kind of wish I could go back and do that. I might write them in, get a couple more to compare them to and expand on it, because I think those are really good products.
Thank you. Yeah, it's, you know, we have a big competitor based in Italy, Luxardo.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
And it's getting difficult for European companies to do business in volume, like with a garnish like this in the U.S. because the tariffs are just like all over the place right now. So we're hoping that with that reliance on American-made products, that people will begin to rely on products like the premium cocktail cherries more and more.
It's nice too because like this was the first year I'd had them as well. I mean, I was impressed. Like all cocktail cherries have kind of been, you know, they taste a little bit different. They have different viscosity, and you know, I mean, John is the cherry expert here. I just like to throw him in stuff, but I was amazed at how much just straight up of the, you know, the Michigan cherry character came through in the cocktail cherry. I was like, oh, these will taste the same as everything else, and I was shocked. Like, oh no, this tastes like Michigan cherry straight through and through it, which is almost completely different from like Luxardo and some of those other brands, which I thought was pretty cool. And it was also like, I felt like I was again back in Traverse City, which is, you know, I haven't really, I took a vacation. I pretended I was in Traverse City. I was at like a lake house, which wasn't the same, but yeah, the profile on those is really fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you. And it's funny you say that because the cherry itself is native to Hungary, but was brought to the United States back in the 1800s. It's a Balaton sour cherry, and the reason that we landed on this variety is because it has that elegant bite and that like very subtle crunch. Yeah, we were buying many imported cherries for our cocktail bar, and we're like, wait a minute, like we have a ton of family history in the business, and we're the cherry capital of the world. why are we buying fruit from somebody else?
Right.
That's awesome. How long have you guys been in the cherry business? I mean, I know that you said that your family's been in it for generations, but have you guys been kicking that up in recent years?
Yeah, I think we've been making cherries now for 3 or 4 years, and they're a leading product on Amazon. We sell them on their website, and then in distribution in spirits retailers throughout the country.
Oh, cool. Now I'll ask a crazy question. I know I'm getting away from the whiskey here, which we can get back to. Have you ever considered distilling cherry product, like doing like a cherry eau de vie or like a cherry brandy or like
cherry brandy?
It's like getting really out there. Or I know it'd take an asslet of cherries, but I gotta ask.
I'm ready to talk about that.
It would take a lot of cherries. We have absolutely considered it, and we've shied away from it a bit, only because we've been toying with an apple brandy for years. We 3.5 years ago started fermenting, distilling, and then aging that apple brandy in our used bourbon barrels. And it's been a very successful program. So we've focused on that kind of that niche market. And I suspect in the next year, we'll at the very least R&D some cherry brandy, because why the hell not, right?
Yeah, now you're talking our language.
Oh,
Why the hell not gets you a lot of points around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of weird American brandy, but anyways, we'll bring this back to the whiskey here. Let's see. I have the straight bourbon, the American cherry, and then you 2 barrel proofs. What do you?
Yeah,
what
I've
you
got
have?
the barrel proof bourbon going here.
Okay.
Well, I've also got the barrel proof cherry too, because cherries.
Right. Yeah, we went into that. Cool. So I forget. So I it's only recently that Traverse City has come here to Wisconsin, which is pretty cool. Did you guys start out with the full portfolio? Did you start with just a straight bourbon, straight rye? You know, what kind of brought you to that evolution? Like, you guys have a pretty full portfolio now, especially for a not newer operation, but you know, you haven't been around for 700 years.
Right. No, it's so the evolution of the portfolio, you know, it's looking back at, you know, we're younger in the business. We've had a presence for 8+ years, and we're not throwing spaghetti at the wall. I mean, everything we've done is with intention. And I was of the belief years ago that because everybody in the world had a bourbon, we needed to stand out a bit. So we made a rye, but not any rye. It was 100% rye, and
Okay.
it was a total pain to ferment and then distill. But it was of course a fun project. Yeah. Yes. And then, you know, so you have products like the rye, which you have to enjoy at bottle proof and barrel proof. There, of course, are 2 potentially different audiences there. And the bourbon, the bottle proof bourbon, and the barrel proof bourbon. It's just this this evolution trying to find, you know, who the market will become. And in 2019 and 2020, 2019, the barrel proof bourbon took a double gold at the San Francisco International Spirits Competition, and double gold best in category, and then this year took a gold. And that's actually become a super hot commodity, especially with private picks like Bourbon Pursuit, like we were talking about earlier. Yeah, it's been so interesting to see, you know, the market kind of react to different products that we're trying to become known for.
Yeah, double gold at San Francisco is certainly nothing to sneeze at. That's incredible. It's nice to see the transformation too. And I also I tell this to everyone, but no one else does it. Like selling in 200 milliliter formats is like the shit. So whatever you do, keep that up.
So
as someone who's like,
what do you appreciate about it?
So I mean, John and I are pretty typical bourbon enthusiasts. Like, I'm over here just drowning in bottles, right? Like, something new comes, you know, it's kind of hard to take a risk. Like, I mean, like, every nook and cranny of my house is just filled with bottles. So first of all, like, 200 milliliters fits anywhere. Like, I can hide that shit under the bed. But beyond that, it's nice to try a product and not have to commit to a full bottle, especially if it's like a new brand to me. Like, oh, I've never heard of this distillery. What if I buy a full bottle of something and I don't like it? You know, either then I have to gift it, or I'm like, this extra 720 milliliters is going to follow me around until the day I die. But with 200 milliliters, you get a chance to try it. Like, you know, I'm happy to buy like the whole range of someone at 200 milliliters and at least give it a shot, and you can try some more. And if you like it, go back and buy a full bottle. Cause it's like kind of the enthusiast problem. Like, I'll buy a ton of stuff once, but you know, with 200 milliliters, I can buy a whole lot more once. And if I like it, then I'll go back and buy the full bottle. And I'm happy to kind of pay the extra. Like, I know the smaller formats are a little less price effective, but bourbon hasn't been price effective for years. So like, that argument goes out the window. Like,
yeah,
but that's just me personally.
If you want to look at it just in terms of cost, like, I would sooner spend $40 on a 200 ml than I would $80 on a full bottle of something that I've never had before, don't know much about. So it feels a little bit like the barrier of entry is better. You can kind of be like, all right, I'm ready to tackle this thing. I know it might seem a little bit pricey if I were to try to buy 750 ml worth, but if I just want to try this thing out and see what it's like, I think it's a good way to get into it. And then, like Jay said, you don't have 720 mLs chasing you around to the day you die.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean,
happen.
Especially and it sounds like you guys aren't afraid of experimenting with some stuff when the time is right, like a cherry brandy. Like, I'm hard pressed. I mean, Auditor has it right. Like more small formats. Like I'm hard pressed if I'm someplace and I see something in a 200 milliliter that isn't $100 and I haven't tried it. Like it's coming home with me every single day of the week. And I know a lot of people are the same way. So it's really cool to see another operation that's embracing that.
Yeah. Right on. Yes. Thank you for the feedback. That's we don't hear stuff like this every day.
Oh yeah. Keep it up. Like
we get all sorts of dumb shit to say. Some of it'll even actually resonate.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I got the bourbon here. I mean, I was impressed. I did a stream a couple of weeks ago that was talking about barrel proof bourbon that's going under the radar, and your barrel proof bourbon was definitely one of those. It going up with like stuff like Penelope and Bullet and stuff. But actually, I haven't tried anything but the cherry in a cocktail. Have you guys? Do you tend to pair certain cocktails with a certain release? Or are you kind of all in on the old fashioned? Or I got the barrel proof here for those of you at home. This is that's shiny, but
it is shiny.
Yeah, 58.3% is pretty hefty too, which is nice to see.
Yeah, you can see on the whiskey cam there that 3 of those bottles are very easy to light. and then 2 of them, the barrel proof, are both shiny and waxed and in all their glory. Very tough to light properly to see, but they do say the same thing as the others.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
visibility of the package. The importance of that cannot be understated. When we first kicked off back in 2012, our bottle was significantly worse than the barrel proof cherry in that shot. And our own bottle on the shelf. Just hence why that the package is now so kind of in your face, so visible.
I like it. I mean, it sticks out on the shelf. Yeah. Like the day it came to Wisconsin, because I'm at the liquor store, kind of like I want to say every other week, but it's definitely every week, and it was easy to tell. Like, oh, like hey, that's new. Like that just showed up. That wasn't here last week, which is nice. Oop, you there? Okay.
Yeah, things are just
yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
The internet is rough in America today. Yeah, we got you. Let's see. So yeah, so I have
so damn lazy.
Bourbon, the barrel bourbon. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm attacking some of that barrel proof bourbon now still, and I like that quite a bit.
So you said you guys used in a column still. Have you guys done anything on a pot still, or has it been pretty strictly your Vendome column?
No. So the Vendome column is living in Louisville right now. We're waiting to have the building ready enough to install it, but we've been operating with a Cote pot column combo, 400 gallons still for the last 5 years.
400 gallons, not bad. Nice.
Yeah, it's gotten us by, but when we invested in the equipment years ago, we were positive that it was way too big for anything that we would ever bite off, and now it's just can't keep up.
It's funny how that works.
Building whiskey storage.
It's never big enough.
No, it's never. Yeah, so I'm also sipping on the barrel proof bourbon as well. I just love the difference in the amount of character you pick up on the flavor profile between the regular bourbon and the barrel proof bourbon. It's just it's so robust, and then the nose is so much more fun because you're that much more whiskey.
Now, do you and your business partners, do you all have a favorite product, or are you all over the board? Do you each prefer something different?
It depends on the day.
I'll take it.
There's no favorite. Yeah, there's no favorite child. It's any given day. It'll probably bounce between probably barrel proof rye or something that's R&D right now.
Okay.
Just casually cycling along as different spirits are maturing in the cask.
I'm very interested in that barrel proof rye, man.
Yeah, likewise.
We had a couple of comments come through the chat here. Eric said that he's pretty happy to try one of these. We can. I'm certain we can make that work out. Also, some up here earlier, you sold some of your cherries. That was pretty easy. You didn't have to work too hard on that one.
TD, my man.
It's funny because I got my first jar of cherries, and then like 2 days later, I forgot that cherries came in the Traverse City
kit. Yeah,
and the barrel proof kit, and I was like, "Shit, what am I going to do with 2 jars of cherries?" And then as of like a week ago, I was like, "Man, I'm out of cherries." Like, oh no.
I did the same thing. I brought one of them to camp, and I was like, "Oh man, look at all these cherries. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it." And I didn't come back from camp with any.
Yeah, they were good. It would. I mean, like, I don't know, like in Wisconsin here, like I'm sure you're aware, like old fashions with cherries are basically a hydrating beverage.
Yep.
And I've never been like a cocktail person, mostly because I'm lazy. But I found like, and even non-whiskey spirits, like I'd have like a gin fizz and be like, "Oop, that needs a cherry." Like plop, and like, like, "Oh, this needs a cherry," or like straight up like, "You want a glass of lemonade? Oop, here's a cherry." And then I was gone 2 jars of cherries, probably 2 or 3 weeks later. It's a sickness, really.
Yeah, we get a problem.
The most clever application that I've heard thus far is from a non-drinker that uses the cocktail cherries in their morning yogurt because they can control if you haven't tried it, try it.
Shoot.
Yep. That's
I didn't even consider breakfast as an application.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I thought of, honestly.
Oatmeal, yogurt.
How can I turn this into food, right? I already know how to drink with it.
Okay. All right. I'm into that. I will try that and I'll report back because it didn't occur to me to throw the cherry in after, before like noon. But yeah, great question from Hokie too.
Yeah. What do you do with the cherries after you guys pull them back out of the barrel?
Yep. So when we're finished with the infusion, we actually have to toss the cherries, especially with the barrel proof cherry. Even after a day of infusion, the ethanol just kind of eats away at the shell, the body of the cherry.
Okay.
And they're unfortunately no good. The whiskey really pulls the soul out of the cherry. Within 2 or 3 hours, there's this hue of red. I mean, you guys can probably see it in your sample, but that red hits the whiskey in about 2 or 3 hours. And
no kidding.
By the time the cherries are aging, just not a ton of glam left with the fruit.
So how's the filtering process after that go? Is that pretty ugly?
It's so the cherry lives in the tank in like a cheesecloth bag, so it's just steeped. The bag itself, it's like a giant tea bag, right? And it's just it lives in the whiskey. And the whiskey is infused and then pulled out and disposed of. Pretty straightforward.
Oh yeah, no big deal then.
So it gets about 3 hours of aging, or do you guys give it longer than that? Sorry, not aging.
Usually a few days.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Usually a few days, maybe more. I mean, we've gone as many as 10 days. But then we figured if we dial up the volume of fruit, we can cut down the aging time, the infusion time, a bit. Usually a few days.
Okay, that's pretty significant because I mean, like I was saying, like as I held this up, like that's pretty red. I'd be surprised, if it's just a day, but a couple of days makes sense.
So even that still sounds like crazy to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of cherry. And like, how many? If you had to estimate, like how many pound? I'm trying to think of the right way. Like, how many pounds of cherries are you guys working with at a time? Like, what's the size of your batch? Are you doing like hundreds of pounds per hundreds of gallons, or is it bigger than that? Or
it's less than that. Usually, our rule of thumb is 10 pounds per 2 barrels. So 10 pounds for about 80 to 100 gallons of whiskey for a few days. So every batch will hold up to so like an 8-barrel batch. Well, that's not pretty big, but 7 or 8 barrel batch infused with 40 to 50 pounds of fruit is pretty standard.
Wow. Okay, so those cherries are really packing a lot of flavor then. That's
serious fruit ROI there.
Holy crap. That's cool. All right. So I just need to track down 50 pounds of cherries. Then I get started.
And then 8 barrels of whiskey.
Yes. Okay. Yep. 8 barrels of whiskey. All right.
I think the cheesecloth part we can come up with easy enough.
Yeah, we have a little cheese over here. That's really cool. So I know that cherries are native to the region. Have you guys considered doing any other fruit, or you're pretty tied to cherry? And I get why you'd be tied to cherry.
No, great question. We've actually, a few years ago, we R&D'd another spirit, which I think that this is as far as we'll go with these type of projects, but we made an apple whiskey with a blend of, it was actually the same blend of apples that we used in the apple brandy, and set through the same infusion process. And we made an apple whiskey. So the cherry whiskey right now, when we released that, it was, again, it was the same idea of, the market wasn't totally ready for an infused spirit like that. And now that it's on fire, it does really, really well at the state level. It's like a top 40 spirit in the state. But it's the same whiskey with just a hint of apple. It's not like a punch of apple. It's very subtle, very approachable.
Okay. That's pretty cool. You made a really great point that I think that I even personally overlooked when I was trying these. Is like 2010 or so, like everything was flavored vodka, and like it didn't even occur to me that people wouldn't naturally just be like, oh, we'll find another flavored spirit. They're like shit, we're done with flavored stuff. Like, give me a break, And it's like, I mean, because like 2010 was all about like Swedish fish flavored Pinnacle and stuff like that. Had jumped the shark, and I kind of assumed that people would just move on to another flavored spirit, which it sounds like wasn't the case. But I'm glad that people are coming around to like good flavored spirit, because like this is flavored in a good way. Like, I mean, we've all seen like Jim Beam peach or whatever, like benchmark vanilla, things that are clearly just going to be atrocious, and kind of set the bar in a really difficult place for flavored whiskey, because so much like even Fireball, which is just brought up in the chat, is really best selling, but it's kind of atrocious. So this was probably the first flavored whiskey I had that was like, oh, this is a good spirit and a good flavor. Like, that's a great combination, since liqueur type whiskeys have historically just been so bad, and like I can't think of another one that was like good. I don't know about you, John. Are there any like other not terrible bad flavored whiskeys out there? 'Cause I can't think of it.
Depends. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. I think, I cut my teeth on that Jim Beam Red Stag 100 years ago, but still, like, it's like drinking Kool-Aid. It's not like drinking whiskey.
Yeah, this was the first like flavored whiskey where I was like, oh, this is good whiskey with like a tint of flavor. Like that was nice, especially when it's hot out. But
with real cherry flavor too, not like Kool-Aid cherries or something.
And red dye 40 and stuff.
Personally, my favorite audience for the cherry whiskey. I mean, it's great that helps onboard a lot of people to the category that are like, whiskey's cool, but I'm not ready for barrel proof, and they're looking for something that's still approachable, a little bit lower proof. I mean, it's fun to bring somebody into the category, but it is the most fun for me personally to chat with an enthusiast that would no, I'm good, thank you for offering, and to get that reaction of, this is not what I expected. This is actually pleasant and approachable for a more experienced palate.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's exactly where I was. Like, I'm nearing writing about 2,000 spirits, and I was like, oh boy, a flavored whiskey. Like, what am I in for? And honestly, my expectations were not where they should have been, because I tried and I was like, oh, this is good. Like in 2,000 plus spirits, this is the first like flavored whiskey that I was like, oh, like this is actually pretty good, which shocked me. And I'm sure it gets people all the time, but it's actually super cool because like in the past, I haven't had a single flavored whiskey to actually point people to and be like, you won't hate this, because I know that they will. And like now it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So we're starting to come up near the end of the hour here, and I don't want to take too much more of Chris's time tonight, but I do want to let you go into the rye just a little bit because I'm a big rye fan, and I need to hear just a little bit more about it, and then find out about the barrel proof rye too.
Yeah. So the North Coast rye, which is what's on the whiskey cam, is a blend of 100% rye and a 95% rye, 5% malted barley. It was our first rye expression. All the grain, both the rye and the barley from the 95.5 are sourced between all the Midwest, so Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, and it was our first extension outside of our bourbon lineup, which includes the bourbon and the cherry whiskey. The rye has surprisingly taken the back seat to the portfolio because it's, in my opinion, it's one of our better expressions. I'm a huge fan of rye and that balance of butter and spice. And the reason that we combined two recipes was to get the butter and the spice married together. Typically, in my experience, a rye has always been either it's one or the other. You don't get both. And this expression definitely has that balance. It's aged between 3 and 4 years, the North Coast is, and yeah, that's the crux of it.
I like that. I like the idea of trying to marry the two flavors too, because you're right, how you could get that profile that sometimes you get a rye that's a little on the fruity side. They're usually going to be spicy or bring in that spearmint background, but to bring in that buttery flavor, I like that. I like what you're doing with it.
Yeah, and then you asked earlier about the barrel proof rye, and that's we recently in our production facility, all of our staff after a regular 8-hour shift are entitled to a shift cocktail. And we recently had to implement a policy because the production crew was draining our reserves of barrel proof rye.
I like these guys.
I would say I got to quit my job.
And
like
so
I have great benefits, but that's not the same as a cocktail shift.
Yeah. So the barrel proof rye, that's my go-to. I mean, I love it. It's a little bit older. It's usually between 5 and 6 years, and most of our barrel proof rye is sourced, but it has been aging up in northern Michigan for the last 5 years and is quite tasty.
Oh man. So great question by Eric. So is this available now? I apologize. We get so little of the portfolio here, but is this going to be on sale soon? Like, is this going to be Stillhouse Distillery exclusive or?
No, I can't recall off the top of my head, but it may already be in Wisconsin. We've done several private picks of both the 95.5 and the 100% rye. And
picks of the rye.
It's not available nationwide. But yeah, but it's available in about half the states that we sell in, which is half the country. So a quarter of the country is currently selling the barrel proof rye.
Okay. I will take a wander into my local liquor store tomorrow because that entices me. I haven't seen it yet, but I miss stuff all the time. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. As a Wisconsinite, I mean, who likes rye, especially a barrel proof, that's going to be a step out of work trip for me tomorrow.
Outstanding. Jay, what do you think? Get this rolling. Let Chris get back to this evening here. Let him pull his router out of that barrel cherry whiskey he's got in his garage.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Chris. If anyone has any questions, we'll take a minute or two. But if you want to go ahead and let people know where they can find you, or you know, if they're on the internet or if they're in person, feel free to let the audience know, and then we'll let you wrap up. But thanks so much for your time tonight. It was really cool to to chat, especially after the event you guys put on. I hope that I hope to God that next year we're all back in Traverse City. But if it's not, are you guys going to do it again, like virtually?
The plan is to do it every year. Cherry Whiskey Fest,
right.
Limited release of a handful of barrels that are infused with Traverse City cherries. And of course, as you guys know, that debuted at the end of Cherry Harvest up here. And the goal is to share that experience with hopefully a new or former audience every year.
That's awesome. Well, I hope some year we see a barrel-proof cherry rye just to keep the adjuncts going. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Huh.
Yes, I'm here for that.
Yeah, you guys have the handles popped up on the bottom of the screen here, but please follow us at TC Whiskey on Instagram, and our website is tcwhiskey.com. And we're here for any and all of your quality cherry or cherry whiskey, cherries and whiskey needs.
Outstanding.
I like it. Cool.
Our needs are significant, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna need like 6 more jars of that stuff if I'm gonna make it through the winter.
Let's just plan on reconvening in person at the distillery up in Traverse City.
Hell yeah.
Deal.
Yeah, sold.
Cool. Fellas, thank you.
Very good, Chris. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
For everyone that's at home, I'm Jay of Take That Review. You guys know where to find me. John, thanks for putting this on as always. If you want to lead us out, we'll call it a night.
Absolutely. Fellas, again, thank you for your time. It's been great. I'm John from TheBourbonFinder, and you can catch us on, well, we're normally doing weekly whiskey on Tuesdays, but we're going to be back here Thursday night this week, 9 o'clock, doing a single barrel of, what is it, Jay?
Smooth Ambler Old Scout. Woo!
Going to be picking one of those or 17 of those or whatever it is that we're getting. So we'll see you guys either Thursday or catch you again next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Great. Cheers, fellas.